The Hook and the Eye, the brand new James Bond spin-off novel, because it's not about James Bond, it's about Felix Leiter. If you know the movies, he is James Bond's right hand American CIA best buddy old pal, and decided to give him a spin-off novel, which is kind of interesting now, knowing the Amazon deal, and we all know that Amazon's going to make a couple of James Bond spin-offs, so everybody's curious, what would they do? And some people throwing Money Penny, some people throwing Felix and Q and that whole thing, and feel like the Fleming estate are starting to explore that as well with this book, and they're doing a Q book called The Q Mysteries, which is essentially sounds like if Father Brown was Q, because it's Q leaves MI6 and he goes to his hometown and bumps into his old friend, and his friend gets murdered and the police don't care about it, and so Q is investigating his friend's murder. That's basically the description of the first Q mystery, which is called Quantum of Menace, that comes out in autumn. And now with Felix, and that is another spin-off character, a character people thinking of spin-offs of. So there's a sense of curiosity with it, and what I will say is that these 4 chapters, because the way they're releasing these chapters is they're releasing them digitally first in chunks for $8. Hopefully it's $8 for the entire thing, not $8 per episode, but they're releasing a chunk of chapters each fortnight, calling them episodes. This case, episode 1, which captures the first 38/4 chapters of the story, and then in September, if you want the physical copy, you can. If you want something like Your Mind to Kill, you want to hold it in your hand, you can. So how is the first 4 chapters? How is this? Is this a thrilling story? Is it a story? Is it a mystery? What is a Felix? Is this just his adventures in CIA? Is it just James Bond but American? No, not really, because this story takes place after the events of Live and Let Die. Now, what happens in the Live and Let Die novel is Felix gets eaten by a shark. He lives, but he misses a leg and a hand. His right hand is missing, and his left leg is gone. So he is no longer able to go through. He's no longer be able to be a field agent in part of the CIA, because Washington and the Pentagon and all the higher ups want their field agents to be in tip top shape. They want tip top shape, and of course, they're like, Felix, we love your services, thank you, but you're not tip top shape. You have a hook for a hand and a stump for a leg, so we're gonna have you be having a desk job. And Felix doesn't want a desk job. He hates the idea of having a desk job. He's not even willing to give it a shot of giving a desk job, because Felix is very resilient. He's like, I can do this. Like, I'm practicing using my left hand, which is not my, gun hand, as my gun hand. Like, I'm missing it, but I'm practicing every single day and trying to aim for the targets and getting used to it. I could do this, but the high ups are the high ups. That makes him go and leaves the CIA and makes him become a private investigator. Now, which I couldn't help but laugh, because I pictured this by the concept of this. The concept of Felix Leiter leaves the CIA and becomes a private investigator sounds like a TV show that Fox would make, or a crime show that CBS would make, or something. It's like if James Bond was a character in the public domain, that this would be the thing that would make. Felix Leiter Felix Leiter he becomes a PI because he leaves the CIA, and and each week we get a new crime, new part of investigation. That's what in my head when I was reading this. I was like, this could actually work as a TV show if you think about it. But what I like from it is that in the first couple of chapters, it's talking about the struggles that he has. Yes, he has, with this new life he has to realizing that he's unable, that he has to, like, and also talking about how his new, how the hook works, and how he has to relearn how to walk, and realizing this is his new reality now. I quite like. I like this whole new realization of it, and how he, even though he realizes it, he's like, he still has that resilience, and how he has humor attached to it because he would kind of flirt where he's in St. Petersburg, where he got his limbs, where the hospital he was in after the mishap, as he calls it, as Felix calls it in these chapters. He yeah he he's flirting with the nurses. He's trying to have a sense of humor about it. And he has to say, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? So it kind of shows the resilience of what he has, and the resilience of, it's kind of like, someone has a pre, he's like, I'm still the same guy. I'm still the same guy. It's just I'm missing a couple of things. And it's all about him kind of probably proving to people that he is still the same Felix as they knew him with when he was whole, and that, because the most well written, because this book is clear and sharp and blunt, and is 1950s American, and so get ready to read the word "goddamn" all the time, like just to get used to it, or hell, just get used to reading that, but there's a scene where his boss basically has to break it to him that he has to get desk job or not, desk job or nothing. And it's probably the most well written scene because it's just the fight. Felix has a fight in him, and it's the world's basically saying no thank you, but he wants to keep going. Which I quite like. Now the mystery itself, with like the final chapter is basically he, because he becomes a PI, and in this PI, in this PI firm, they don't do murders. They're like, look, we're not the Falcons Falcon. We're not saying Spade. We're not going to do that kind of stuff. We're also, they're like, and also we don't do the whole hunt. Sneak, taking photos of husbands sleeping with their mistresses. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not that type of person. We're that type of industry. So, but we'll do bodyguard work. We also will do some gang, maybe take down a gang or something. But that's kind of what we do. So he goes as a bodyguard for a hotel, and we get a murder. And apparently the murder is probably connected to some spy thing, and you go, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. That quickly it makes us introduced to another character that Felix knew during the Navy days, during the war, and that makes things interesting. When the action hits, there's a small little action sequence in the fourth chapter that is quite detailed, quite put together, and also showing how his brain works and how Felix navigates himself. Because, for me, I just know Felix as the guy who pops up, outside of the Darren Craig films, the guy who pops up one scene per movie and says, 007, are you trying to start World War III? and then he's gone. So he's not the most fleshed out character. So this is a chance for me to get to know Felix, get understand what type man and what type of person he is, and I'm liking it, and it is kind of interesting thing of probably is. It is probably, this is a story in itself outside of, who's the person who murdered. And it's gory, it is like, the murder victim is quite, the guy gets tortured. You can tell the guy got tortured by his toenails being a bit, off. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. This is a quite for episode one. It's weird calling it episode one. I want to call it chapter one, but episode one. And I'm looking forward if it's chapters 5 to 8 or 7 or 6, whatever episode 2 gonna be. But yeah, I'm liking it. I think it's well written, well put together. Liking the struggles and the details beyond it. And curious about the case, and also just the relationship this friendship that we find that Felix has. But yeah, with this FBI agent. So, and he also mentioned about a woman. There's the old classic thing about friends got killed, and then friends got betrayed, and hearts got broken by a woman. It's also it kind of it's also, I think, good about this book and these 4 chapters is, due to the fact this book is set in the 1950s, it's not afraid to go a little bit but it finds the right balance of how far do you go, and having the theme, having them saying the odd sexist thing for the 50s, and having a little bit of the old gender put down, taking down the other gender put down. It kind of gives you a sense of realism or a sense of authenticity to the main story, to the world, to the setting of this, because we're in New York, 1950s, and 1954. I have to double check. 1954. So yeah. I'm liking it. I'm liking the story. I'm curious about the mystery itself and figure out is the person who got murdered a spy or not? We'll find out in 2 weeks.